So we're going to come down to the floor today and do some abdominal exercises, some better abdominal exercises, better than your standard crunches. We're going to get into the more stabilizing muscles for the abdominals. So the one piece of equipment that if you've got laying around, we're going to use a foam roller. Let's just briefly talk a little bit about foam rollers in case you don't have one and are planning on getting one. They come in three different densities. There's the firm, there is the medium density, and then there's the soft density. So this one happens to be a medium density foam roller. I would recommend either medium density or possibly a lighter, softer foam density. The harder ones, which are usually black, are really, really hard. And there's nothing good about smashing tissue. So I would go for something that's just a little bit gentler on your system and on your muscles and your tissue. So if you're going to use one for, so today we're going to be using this really for, going to be balancing on it. And that's why I like a little bit more firm, so the medium density, but you could use the softer one too. But I like using softer if I'm going to do some massage type therapy on myself. So that's where I would pull out my softer foam density. So let's go ahead and take this one. You're going to take it on your mat or your surface. We're going to sit on the very end. So coming to the very end, be careful. Make sure that you've got your hands down, and then you lower yourself all the way back down so you're on your spine and your head is supported by the foam roller. So next we're going to take our arms out to the side, fingertips only if possible. You're going to take the right leg up and then the left leg up, and you're going to stay here, just like I said, fingertips only. It's going to take some abdominals to balance here and be steady. So once you've got your bearings, we're going to take the right leg down, touch the toes of the floor, and bring the leg back up. You're going to keep that 90-degree bend in the knee and just bring the leg right back up so that the leg is not extending in any way. It's staying bent at the 90 degree at the knee. Now, the other thing I want you to do is make sure that you maintain there's a very slight natural arch in the spine. And so you're not smashing the spine into the foam roller. And you're going to maintain that as your leg goes down. You don't want to arch your back. You want to keep those lower abs working. So roll the lower abdominals up towards the navel and then lift up and lower and lift and lower. We're going nice and slow and lower down and back up. And again, you've got your fingertips lightly touching the floor. If you need more stability and you need your palm down on the floor, that's fine. But if possible, fingertips and maybe either fingernails, so that's even less on the floor for more stability. Okay, let's take the legs up, bring the feet back down to the floor, and then very slowly you're going to dismount. So I'm just going to roll myself off to the side and come on up. So you're going to get rid of the foam roller for now. Moving on to the next exercise, we're going to come to hands and knees, and we're going to come into what we call a bird dog. So let's set up for the bird dog, and in doing so, make sure your shoulders are over the hands and hips are over knees. Now, our foundation to this pose is lifting the navel up towards the spine. Lower abdominals are lifting towards the navel. The upper abdominals near the rib cage are reaching towards the navel, and you're lifting up out of the shoulders by pressing the hands down towards the floor. So we're going to shift the weight over to the left knee. And in doing that, no collapsing, keep the foundation that we just set up nice and stable. And we're going to take the right leg back, toes on the floor. Again, check in with your foundation, and we're going to take the left arm forward. And now, without moving your back, keeping the lower abdominals lifted towards the navel, you're just going to barely lift that foot up off the floor. I don't want to see that leg flying up into the air or going any further than the height of the hips. In fact, keeping the leg low is best. So that keeps the stability there in the spine. We don't want any arching going on. Okay, and then we're going to lower everything back down and knee back in. Checking again with our foundation, upper and lower abdominals lifting towards, rolling towards the navel. Push down into the floor with the hands, lifting up out of the shoulders, and really creating almost like a cat pose with the shoulders. So spreading those shoulder blades, take the left leg back, right arm forward, lift the left foot up off the floor, and then reaching out that back leg, reaching out that front arm. Abdominals still rolling towards the navel. Neck is nice and long. Holding here. And then lowering down. Okay, so you can repeat that exercise. That's one of the most basic and yet extremely valuable abdominal and stabilizing exercises that you can do. So next up, let's take ourselves down to the floor and taking the knees up into that 90 position here, arms out to the side, and we're going to lift the knees towards the chest and then roll over, knees over to the right elbow as far as you can go and hold, and then back to center. Knees lift and come up over to the left elbow and hold, and back to center. Why are we taking the knees towards the elbow? Because we don't want to strain the low back. We don't want to go into an arch in the low back. So that's why you bring, you're lifting the lower abdominals again towards the navel so that you've got a support to your low back. And then back to center. Let's do that one more time. Over to the right. And center. And left. And center. Okay, feet to the floor. You can relax. And let's move on to the next abdominal exercise. So we're going to take the feet here near the lower, or the fingertips here, just like we're setting up for a bridge pose, because you are going to lift up your hips. So they don't have to be high, but they're going to be lifted, and then you're just going to march in place. So oddly enough, this is an abdominal exercise. Why? Because we have to use the abdominals every time we lift a leg for stability. So just marching in place, keeping the hips lifted. You can squeeze those glutes. I love this one if I want to take a little break between my lifting between exercises, and I'll just come down to the floor, do a little bit of marching in place, know that I've gotten an additional ab workout, and then move on to the next exercise. So you can continue to do this for several minutes if you'd like. We're going to come down. Let's take the knees, hug them into the chest for a moment. And now, for the last abdominal exercise, we're going to roll over to our tummy. Coco's making an entrance. She's going to come do exercises with us today. So we're going to start in what we call a cobra pose. So the shoulders are directly underneath the elbows, and then the hands are forward of the elbows, so just straight ahead. Now you're rolling the collarbones up towards the face at this point, but as we get going, we're going to press the knees down into the floor, and then we're going to lift the hips up into the air, roll the lower abdominals up towards the navel, upper abdominals are rolling towards the navel. Now we're lifting up, separate those shoulder blades, so pressing down into the floor with the arms, just really widen the shoulder blades. Let's tuck the toes, and now we come into a forearm plank. Holding here for just a moment, and then we're going to lower the knees down, untuck the toes, pelvis comes down, and then we roll out, and we can come back into our back bend. So let's do that again. Knees press into the floor, hips lift, lower abdominals now rolling towards the navel, upper abdominals rolling towards the navel, pressing the floor away so that you come into that cat pose with the shoulders, tuck the toes, and then press up into forearm plank. Remember to keep the neck nice and long. Lower the knees, untuck the toes, hips come down, and then roll the spine out, coming back into your back bend. Make sure that the shoulders can roll back and away from the ears. Okay, so when you finish that, you're just going to press back and take child's pose. Relax the arms. And go ahead and roll up. So there you go. Those are some ideas for some new abdominal exercises that you can do. I might do a set of 3 and go from there. Do these, interspersed between your other weightlifting or strength conditioning, or even into a yoga practice. Just put one of these in. I love doing that last one we did. I do that in my yoga practice all the time. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.